Hi, good morning, good evening, good night, good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm sorry we are a wee bit late, but at least we are here. Last night vanity struck, and I decided that this morning I was going to put some color in my hair, and it didn't quite work out, but it delayed the proceedings a tad. So vanity is going to have to be put aside in these times. So here we are. There was one question, something about the daya, which obviously is this, and baya. And these are just regular Hindi words. Daya meaning right, baya meaning left. But for left-handed tabla players, it would be the other way around. So it would be daya would be the baya, and the baya would be the daya. So keep that in mind when I'm talking about this. So the question was the basic strokes of the tabla, the chanti part, and how do we do that? As far as I'm concerned, there are not like an immense number of strokes. We just have like na, and then ta, and then tun, then we have te, and that's pretty much it. Now those translate into are hybrided, if that's the correct word, into different other things, like te becomes tere kita. Okay, te then moves downwards or frontwards of the tabla and becomes te re also. So it's kind of difficult because tere kita or tere kita with fingers, or tere, which is also dhere with the baya. So there. So tun, na. Some people say dina gena. So that this finger, the ring finger, also becomes na. I like to differentiate it by calling this ring finger as ne. So dine gene. So I know when I say ne, or people that I'm working with who are used to working with me, other young tabla players, and I tell them dine, they know I mean din, ne. So na, ta, tun, te, tere, same thing, and dhere, which is down here, the palm stroke. Ne kind of comes along for the right. So those are. Now when you're playing na, obviously your ring finger is down almost like on the edge of the siyahi or the ga. And the reason for that is if you move it, close it onto the ga, then you'll be dampening the resonance, as opposed to. So that has to be kept in mind. What happens with us, in order to try and keep the hand loose and fluid on the tabla, we move. This finger doesn't stay anchored like when you're playing the faster laggis and tinta, like. Then it's anchored kind of, but even then it's loosely anchored. So if you watch my ring finger, it slides and then it still slides. So the word anchor is not necessarily not necessarily should be taken as how anchors are with the ship, where when they drop and they kind of stay. But when I say they kind of stay, is on the surface, the ship will still move, according to the way the waves are or the tides are. And so apply that theory to it. Yes, anchor, but fluid. So that is very important. When you play tere kita as well, like finger tere kita, te, re, you can slide off. What I do is play, I lift it. So then I'm in the position to hit. Now these are exaggerated movements. You should not exaggerate when I'm playing. Not that. Now having said that, if you want to create tonal textures and therefore, like if you're playing surface tete, but now you want to dig in, that's when anchoring will help. If you notice, it stays more stationed. As soon as you loosen it, right? So that's basically what it is. And this tere kita, when you're playing tere kita, the ring finger, or when you're playing din again, so then it becomes for me din ne gene. So that's how it works for me, and I hope it works for you too. There was another question about when you have a longer qaida, how do you work out the paltas on that longer qaidas? My experience from hearing the longer qaidas is that the paltas emerge from within the middle or beginning of the variation previous. So that's what happens. So, but if you take a qaida like say Datida, datigena, tinagena, datida, credit dagenata, datigena, tinagena, ti criti, criticada, 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 datidagena, datidagena, datida, hinatinagena, datida, credit dagenaka, datigena, tinagena. So this qaida is interesting the way the variations evolve. The end part again is maintained as the qaida is, but what's happening as far as changes are concerned are right in the middle of it. So datida, datigena, tinagena, datida, credit dagenaka, datigena, tinagena, ti crediti, creditata, 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 datidagena, datidagena, datida, 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 credit dagenaka, datigena, tinagena, ti crediti, creditata, 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 datidagena, datidagena, datida, datigena, tinagena, da credit dagenaka, datigena, tinagena, ti creditata, 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 datidagena, 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 da datida. Dagenaka, datigena, tinagena, criti, datida. So that arrangement is interesting for me because then you are maintaining the length of the qaida, you're giving yourself the challenge of creating your rearrangements within the meat of the theme itself. And it's an interesting way of being able to create variations of the qaida. I had previously mentioned in the last something a long Delhi qaida, which was da dati dagena dati dagatina dadatina da dati dagena dati dagatina dadatina dati dagena dati dagatina dadatina dadatina dati dagatina dadatina dati dagena dati dagatina ta dati dagena dati dagatina dadatina dati dagatina dati dagatina dadatina dadatina dati dagatina dadatina dati dagena dati dagatina da dati dagena dati dagatina dati dagatina dagena dati dagatina datina dati dagena dati dagatina dadatina dati dagena dati dagatina. So in the middle. Not da dati dagena dati dagatena gena da dati dagena dati dagatena gena da dati dagena dati dagatena gena dati dagatena gena dati dagatena dadatina dati dagena dati dagatena dadatina dati dagena dati dagatena dadatita dagena dadatina dagena dadatina dati dagena dati dagatena gena da. For me, that defeats the purpose of subtle changes that spark and kind of grab the imagination of the connoisseurs sitting in the front. So that is an interesting way of being able to take a long qaida and be able to improvise within the meat of the qaida, right? So da dati da gina dati da gatina da datina da datina da dati da gatina tina dati da gina dati da gatina gina da datina dati da gina dati da gatina gina ta. Right. So that kind of working of the qaida for me is much more challenging and much more fun. We usually go doubles and then triple one, like date te date te da date te da gate nagina tate te tate te da date te da gate nagina date te date te da date te da gate nagina tate te tate te da date te da gate na date te date te da date te date te da date te date te da date te da gate nagina tate te tate te da date te da date te date te da date te da gate na date te tate te da date te date te da date te da gate nagina tate te da gate nagina, you know, using both sections twice to still come up to 4, or 3 and 1 still coming up to 4 lines. So those are the conventional, straightforward way of working. It helps when you're playing a different rhythm cycle that you may not be comfortable with. So if you're playing, say, chapta, so da din na din din na din na din din na da dhati dag din na ge na dhati dag din na ge dhati dag din na ge na dhati. Now you're wondering, okay, how do I make 3-1? It's a little difficult because the first phrase is much longer. The second phrase, dati dagatin, again is shorter. How am I going to mathematically make it work? So you start with a double. If you double them, you still get 4 lines of equal length, and therefore you are able to fit it in japta without really having to think about it. So you've doubled it. So at least you've established a longer length. Now you can try to do a 3 with a little bit of an adjustment. So that may be possible. Even when you have an even number of phrases on both sides, in Japtal or in Rupak Tal or in Dhamar or anything, you can still do 2-2, 3-1, 1-3, keeping 4 lines evenly placed. So that's basically, for me, works with the qaidas. So let's see. Why don't we do one of the qaidas like I just talked about? So the simplest one to decipher or listen to would not be the dada dati dagina dati dagatina dadatina. There are some subtle things. So I'll do the famous one, dati da dati gina tina gina dati da, and we'll see how it works in the middle of it. Okay, 13, 14, 15, 16. So it developed in that manner. I can also take the second section and develop it. But for me, in this qaida, that hook of ti, it's so beautiful that to, mess with it, for me is a little hesitant, that kind of doing. But, sometimes I do, like that. So working in that manner sometimes is fun, but I like to mostly stay in the front of the qaida and do some combinations in there. In fact, I remember Ustad Zakir Hussain when he used to play this, and I think nobody played it like he did, and as great as he did on that. He usually just interacted in the front part of the qaida and kept the end as solid as it is in the main theme. And there are different ways of playing it as well, now that I'm doing it. For instance, there are people who play, so on the chati, da ti da, da ti ge, na te na te na, da ti da, ge ge, da ge na ta, ge na te na te te te, ta te ta te ta te da te da ge na da ti da ge na. Now that's fine, and that's one way of playing it. The way I heard from Zakir Hussain was that he softened the tone. So instead of a harsher, it was more like not, but he did that. And then most of the strokes that were open stroke of the kinar, he divided into playing it on the maidan here. Some people call it sur, but that's also so. So instead of dhati da, it became so. Dhati ge ne, not dhati ge na. Dhati ge ne, ke na ke na dhati da. Pre din da ge na ka, but na over here. Dhati ge ne again, ke na. Not, but not, but so no. So it's just kind of like swept on the gab rather than attack the gab. So. So there are different ways of being able to play it, but I think one of the beautiful things about this qaida is to be able to create that softer tone and make it work. So that's in terms of being able to play longer qaida and what the variations might turn out. And that's why I said something about the qaida is that the themes for me should be smaller in length, so that then you can expand it, and so the paltas and vistaras become longer, and you can work with both sides and the middle of the qaida. If you make the qaida long, then that facility is not as easily available. So another Delhi qaida, dhati dagina. So 13, 14, 15, 16. the strokes softer, and even the tariqat are not. Okay, so keep that in mind. So now 13, 14, 15, 16. So why play the tariqat softer up till this point? The reason is to try and highlight the other aspect of the qaida, which are now when I have sufficiently explored that area, then I will highlight the tariqat. So to highlight the tariqat, that's when I will put a little bit of a edge to it. So 13, 14, 15, 16. So now highlighting the tariqat at the second section of improvisation. So that way you can preserve one part of the qaida slightly behind, and so the people are lulled into this whole thing about that part, and then suddenly you unleash the tariqat and a different element of the qaida arises, and also again the focus of the listeners is grabbed. So before they get lulled into those other variations, something else happens. So so this is one of the ways that I approach the qaida, and I would do the same for you. And I'll give you another example of theta with dhatete dhatete. So 13, 14, 15. aspects of the qaida are the open bowls and the closed tete bowl, and how you combine them together helps to make the qaida interesting for a longer period of time. You also can improvise a qaida without actually even changing the theme, and that is to highlight certain parts of the main theme. So highlighting part of the main theme, I mean, like I'll give you again the same example: 13, 14, 15, 16. So just the theme, highlighting certain parts of it, creates an impression like as if you've changed it for a layman listener, but you actually haven't changed it. But in the meantime, you've given yourself enough time to be able to get used to the way the theme is running in the rhythm cycle, so that you get comfortable with it, settled in, and then you can start dissecting it and creating vistaras and paltas in that manner. So that's as far as qaidas are concerned. So let's see. I'd like to play a qaida of my father's, which was one of the first qaidas that actually I got attached to strongly. Even he was attached to it. And that was, again, the tete qaida, but we've been talking so far with tetes being straight, meaning middle finger, first finger. Now we are talking about tetes as rendered in certain combinations in Punjab or even in Banaras, and that is reverse. So you start tete with the first finger. So that's also something to be kept in mind, that even though you've learned te, that is entirely possible at the whim of the maestro performing, that te can be reversed to te. So keeping that in mind. So here it is. 13, 14, 15, 16, dha, te, dha, da, te, dha, ga, tinna, kena, dha, da. Tete, tete, da, da, tete, da, ga, tenna, kena, ta. Tete, ta, ta, tete, ta, ga, tenna, kena, da, da. Tete, tete, da, da, tete, da, ga, tenna, kena. So this is the theme. Now, playing it. Da, tete, da, da, tete. So reversing. Tete, da, tete, da, da, tete, da, ga, tenna, kena, da, da. Tete, tete, da, da, tete, da, ga, tenna, kena, ta. Tete, ta, ta, tete, ta, tenna, kena, da, da. Tete, tete, da, da, tete, da, ga, tenna, kena, ta. So when this qaida is played, you have two choices. You can either play theta as in fingers, or you can play it. The problem with that is when you're playing faster, to play reverse theta with these three fingers coming back is a little cumbersome. It's easier to then switch the te part to what is normally ne for me. So da, te, more smoothly at a reasonable speed or respectable speed. 13, 14, 15, 16, da, tete, da, da, tete, da, tete, na, gena, da, da. And you notice it's an uneven number. Da, tete, da, da, tete, da, tete, na, gena, da, da, tete, tete, it comes on the off. So how do you do that? The first thing you can do is you can double each line. So you have the first palta already in place, and the length, the double length is established. And then after that, you can, mess with it a bit more. Okay, so 13, 14, 15, 16. Da, tete, da, da, tete, da, tete, na, ge, da, da. Tete, tete, da, da, tete, da, ge, na, ge, na, ta. Tete, da, da, tete, da, ge, na, ge, na, da, da. Tete, tete, da, da, tete, da, ge, na, ge, na. Da, da, tete, tete, da, da, tete, da, ge, na, ge, na, da, tete, da, da, tete, da, ge, na, ge, na, da, da. Tete, tete, da, da, tete, da, ge, na, ge, na. Now I am the deliverer of the qaida, or of this particular story. So I have the choice of also combining both tetes. So sometimes I can go dha tete, dha da tete, dha ga tinna gena dha da tete tete. The middle two tetes straight like this, tete. So dha tete, dha da tete, dha ga tinna gena dha da tete tete, dha da tete, dha ga tinna gena. So when you go tete tete, the natural tendency is to play the last tete also split. So dha da tete tete, dha da tete, dha da tinna gena. That's also okay. Dha tete, dha da tete, dha ga tinna gena. Now did you notice what I do? I did one of each. The first dha tete, second dha da tete. So I did the reverse first and then the straight second. So did that too. So all these combinations, I guess, are kosher, are legit, as long as it's at the whim of the tabla player. And if you're playing fast enough, maybe nobody would notice that you've done that. So here we go. developing it like that. And reverse thete kaida. So they are there. There's another reverse thete kaida. Dada ka dete dete dagina daga te nagina dete dete dagina dati dagina te nagina taka ka dete dete dagina taka te nagina dete dete dagina dati dagina te nagina. What is different here is basic tedi kaida. Dada te dada te na. Dhate te dada te dada te nagina. They don't start dhete. So dhete is an interesting development in this kaida, which my father plays. So dada dhete dhete dagina dagate nagina, not dada tete tete dagina dagate nagate, as conventional. So again, reverse tete. Another kaida. Interesting thing that I would like to point out to those who may not be tabla players but might be percussionists, hand percussionists, or even drummers. If you were to learn these kaida themes and transpose onto different, like high tom-toms, floor tom-toms, snare, bass drum, and then you can actually play them as tabla variations already with assigned places on the kit where you can play the stroke. So next kaida. So so all those kind of combinations are easily possible to be transposed on a drum kit. And also on the congas, if you're playing 3 or 4 congas, you can assign, and therefore you can actually play these kaidas with the bass tone being the dha. And if you're playing a dhete, then the bass tone being a combination of the, te with the quinto or the tunga. So these things are possible to do. Think about it and transpose it and see how it helps you out in being able to, advance your repertoire in that manner. So I'm just going to kind of, as they say in jazz terms, blow a little, as in just blow, Alright guys and ladies, wherever you are, just want to remind you, stay home, wash your hands regularly, drink warm water, wear a mask when you are getting out of the house, try to even find some rubber gloves or something. Take this very seriously and be safe. I want to be able to come to your city and see you personally, and I don't want you to be getting sick and miss seeing you. So stay healthy, be careful, be watchful, be safe, and I'll see you again next week. Take care. Bye.